Right. Hello, this is Pigsy. Doing another video, and just talk about fasting actually, probably. So I've been doing a lot of fasting whereby I try to go 20 hours or 24 hours or beyond that, and sort of just figuring out what my body wants. I mean, the idea that you could do a 24-hour fast and then, or 20-hour fast, and you can eat what you like at the end of it, is kind of appealing in one way. But what tends to happen is you just end up having an ordinary meal, and that might be not so great, because your body would still need to adjust to having larger meals at the end of the fast. It wants food naturally, and if you've been taking water, that's kind of suppressed some of it. But you really should take water, I believe, because of the fats in your brain and stuff, and a lot of disorders are about dehydration in the body, so you could be putting yourself at a bit of risk by not taking water. However, people that go on dry fasts see good results, and maybe it works well for them. It's just one of these extra precautional things. Because I guess that it's really, you put your body in a sense of a survival mode, and you need to build up to it really. To be honest, a lot of people dehydrate themselves anyway, because they don't have enough fluids, or they just drink, or they're drinking a lot of alcohol, or just on the coffee or whatever, so that they can dry themselves out. So it's not always great, these kind of things. So yeah, so I've been doing this like gap, see how long we can go, then eat something, see how long we can go, or depending on how much work I've got a lot of work on, I've got to use a lot of mental concentration. I'm going to try to get a meal in before I go to that person, or deal with them tasks, because I don't need brain fog. You know, if somebody wants me to drive them around somewhere or go off places and things like that, I don't want to be sort of like or just or misreading the situation. So it's worth getting your energy. I mean, yeah, you do have a certain mental clarity, but your body's basically dealing with a situation and is developing a better way of dealing with it. So it's not going to automatically have all the answers really. One of the things you've got to build up to. However, so go back to your meals, breaking fasts. What you want to do is be looking for something quite nutritious. So even though you can eat what you want, I mean, yeah, if you ate a massive meal, you could probably hit a lot of things that your body might want or need. But you may find if you don't, and you start eating and your stomach's kind of shrunk, so you just want a smaller meal, and you might not be putting everything in there that you might be craving for. So, and your metabolism might slow down a little bit, depending on what you're up to. I've certainly found it's slowed down a bit for myself. Like this morning, I found it hard getting up. So I just thought, well, I don't even got to rush out the door, I'd lay in, but it's becoming a bit of a habit now, because I've got an easier week this week. So I've started just sort of getting up later. But I guess the answer is go to bed earlier. But I don't want to be waking up, going there somewhere really sluggish, and then it takes a while, and then I'll say midday I eat something, I feel better. So I don't want that kind of pattern. And I've been avoiding sugars. But what I have done today is I did a little bit of clearance work for somebody, and I said, "Oh, I'll have your stinging nettles." So I got the stinging nettles and I put them in a slow cooker. And I was told by somebody I know that they taste awful, and she put them into a quiche in the past and they didn't taste right. But it could be how she cooked them, because I found that when I cooked it in the slow cooker, they are pretty much like spinach. There's not much difference. And well, I've sort of put some spices in and sort of curried it up a bit, because I thought, well, if it's got a funny flavour, I could sort of put something else to counter that. So I've got like turmeric, and I've got some curry powder and some chilies added in there, and then I put some mixed spices. And yeah, it tastes alright actually. It tastes good. Some couscous. I had in a packet. I thought, why not? And some carrots, tomatoes, and there was a stew that I got from somebody else. He gave me a lot of these stews he couldn't eat. That had been made by a neighbour of his, and he just said, I can't eat that, it's just too much. So I've just sort of like redone his stew, so it tastes a lot better. And yeah, so that's quite nice. And there's a lot of nutrition in nettles. They are really nutritious. So I might look at that. I mean, it's just like spinach. That's all I'm getting: spinach, prickly spinach, until I cook it up, and then just add it with something. And hey presto. But you think how many nettles there are around? You could probably have enough nettles to eat all year round if you were sort of mad on nettles. So I might do some foraging. I may do a bit of foraging at the weekend, or look when things are can be picked. Like things like chestnuts, they're quite nice roasted. And I remember in the past, when I was a boy, I went around foraging for low chestnuts, and I was going to try to use them as sort of like a cheap conker, or a chestnut match. But they're pretty small, so it doesn't really work out so well. And so what I did, well, what happened is I brought them all back. My mum looked at them and said, "Oh, can I have some of them?" I think she used pretty much most of them. She said, "I'll leave you some," because I had a load of them. And then what she did is she cooked them up, and then she removed the heart. I guess they called it meat. I don't know if they called it meat, heart. And then she added that into the stuffing, and it tasted really nice. So I'm kind of being the economist on my budget and looking at ways to survive. But then there's probably a lot of nutritious stuff out there just growing in your woods that you can probably add to whatever you do normally. So that's one thing. Mushrooms, however, you've got to be very careful picking anything like that. I may encourage some sort of types of mushrooms. It could be, so I think that's the way it should be. So it's not just the hunter-gatherer, it's the giver as well. So if you've got something you can put into an area of woodlands. I wanted to start a project called my biodiversity project, and just add to areas extra plants that wouldn't normally be there. I don't think there's an issue with it. I mean, there's always concerns about that. You might put something and it wrecks the bloody biology in the area or something, and like you poison everything in local wildlife or stuff like that. I think nature is in competition with itself, and as a result it builds stronger, more diverse beings or entities of itself. That's how it works. I mean, in the same way when we eat things, and our body needs to adapt to deal with them. We don't always have it's not always easy for humans, to find better ways to deal with things in nature. So I think increasing diversity will only help, especially things they can eat. Most things that could be slightly poisonous, because it might be putting medicinal or chuck in there. Most creatures would learn about that plant, and then it would they'd either use it in some way or they would avoid it. So yeah, might be more interesting stuff. So possibly I might make some more different types of stew. just have to figure out what I want and go for it. I originally had the stew yesterday though. I had a little sample of it, and maybe it still had a lot of histamine, so it may need to kind of takes a while to cook it up. I just felt itchy, so I just had to. So normally I'd sleep in the nude, and I thought, oh no, I feel bloody itchy. So I wrap myself up, and that usually deals with it. And I just put like a t-shirt on, some pajama bottoms, and so it's less of a thing. But it felt like a weird sort of itchiness spaced around my body. And I thought, I wonder if that's from eating some nettles, or maybe some of the maybe there was still a bit of a stinger on it, and it's internally it's put some stuff in there. But there's other stuff as well. There's stuff for your brain. I mean, I've heard about people with MS who would sting themselves, and there's going to be benefits from it. So anyway, this is Pixie signing off, and have a great one.